Prime Minister, as a responsible government, it's not being smooth sailing. I think, you made a statement on the floor this afternoon. Since taking over the government in 2019, one of them, of course, around leadership, reshuffling, emerging as united in a strong coalition government. What leadership attributes were you looking for as a priority for your government heading into the independence? And I know maybe you probably want to recap on what's happened over the last week in Parliament, but just going forward, and then I know we'll get into the independence messages. Thank you, Prime Minister.
All right. Thank you, Steve, once again, and I appreciate NBC's ability to remain the voice of our nation as we face our 46 years of our nationhood. We all grow up listening to the NBC Karai, and the voice of our nation sort of ring tone that goes off when NBC is trying to broadcast. And it's fitting that NBC still remains the voice of our nation. And today, through this platform, we've been in conversation with our people. This evening, again, hopefully, as we face 46 years of independence, on Thursday, we will commemorate this very important day. I just hope this conversation this evening sets the pace, sets the tone, and continues on pointing people to the right directions. When we took office in May 30th, 2019, we never saw how tough 2020 or 2021 will be. Although, as having served as Minister under O'Neill, and also having served as Minister under Sumari from 2008 to 2011, and then Minister from 2012 to 2019 when I resigned, I knew the task I had was not going to be easy. The economy wasn't that big enough to sustain the huge need our country has. Our country's need far exceeds the revenue we're able to collect every year. Just give you an example, this year we're collecting around 11 billion kina from all our earnings as tax or resource earnings. 11 billion kina is not able to meet all our needs put together. Public service recurrent alone, including wages, cost up to about 8 billion kina. And so if we were to go on a balanced budget, meaning what we earn, we spend, 8 billion kina is consumables. It's just spent on the public service wages and the recurrent, the power bills, the cost of running an office, etc., etc. And if you minus 8 from 11 billion kina, we only have 3 billion kina to ensure hospitals are okay, schools are okay, roads are maintained and being built, ports are okay, airports are right. So something I'm trying to impress is that when we took office, we knew the formula since 1975 up till 2019 to earn money from our natural wealth and resources was not serving us well. We were earning less despite the huge resource base we had. And I was in government over a long time, for instance, with former Prime Minister O'Neill. My conversation on resource law started as early as 2013 and 2014. When we were entering our 2013 money plan under O'Neill, there was a 5-year deficit money plan. Now that deficit money plan was okay, but I started to engage in conversation at cabinet, conversation at in our party caucuses, because as a minister in cabinet, I am not at liberty to speak publicly, but in private conversation or in our government caucus or in our party caucus or in cabinet, those conversations on re-looking at expanding the economic base, getting more from our resources. I mean, we're just getting 2% royalty, for instance, 3% or 2% equity, for instance, for our landowners, and our country paying again for a cost of 22% equity. We were not empowering our landowner businesses in forestry. Our provincial governments were not participating in business, so some of this shift need to take place.
Yeah.
And after consistent advices for 7 years, I felt that I was not getting any way. And so one morning I decided to wake up, and I just said, I'm going to resign from this government. Little did I knew I would be Prime Minister 57 days later. And since arriving as Prime Minister, we've tried our absolute best to ensure some of the big picture focuses of changing the regimes worked upon. And we've started those progress. But it has to be a gradual shift. And I've set the date for major shifts to be implemented post-2025. 2025 is the time when our nation celebrates 50 years of independence. And so instead of making a radical shift right now, we just have to turn the 10 in the right direction with a gradual shift, so our investors who are currently existing under existing regimes are able to adapt, acclimatize, and go with the changes. Those licenses that are already secured under existing regimes will run its course. Stephen, my focus on this is simply this. We have to change the formula so we earn more money from our resources.
Yeah.
In a nation that is blessed with all the resources anyone could imagine, we have not converted those resources to actual cash to finance our development needs. Right now, our economy collects at 11 billion kina, 12 billion kina. That is totally not enough to meet all our needs. So when we took office, we knew that the fundamental formula of revenue collection was small. The needs were growing every time as we speak. Population growth at 3.5% or 3.3% every year. That means more babies coming into our country. With the babies, there's a need for services, there's a need at the hospital, there's a need in schools. And so those are realities we were faced with. We came into government, we were saying we will make these changes that we need to make. These changes will be beneficial 5, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years from now. Just like Sam Mekere, the late Sam Mekere, made changes in 2001, 2002. Benefits are now felt in 2020, 2021, 2022. So our resource law amendments were some of the fundamental things we wanted to take in, simply to ensure we grow the economic base, have more money to meet the demands that our people so demand. So we knew that it was going to be hard. We took government in May of 2019, celebrated our first independence in 2019, September 16. Then we came into 2020 and COVID-19 hit us. COVID-19, once in 100 years sort of a pandemic. The last time planet Earth faced a severe pandemic of that magnitude was about 1920 or 1930 thereabouts. Yeah. So the once in 100-year pandemic struck in 2020, and we've lived with it up till 2021 today as we speak. But the good thing for us, we were able to structure our government financing in 2019, 2020, and 2021 for us to still be able to ensure our economy has sufficient liquidity. The borrowings that we borrowed was quite a more concessional borrowing instead of relying on very expensive short-term borrowing that I was associated with under Prime Minister O'Neill then. We got short-term, very, very concessional borrowing. In fact, most of them were 0% interest anyway with a 5-year grace period. Those borrowings were able to bring in US dollar into our banking system. We used those US dollars to ensure there was a free flow of trade in our economy in as far as Forex were concerned. And we started to clear out a lot of backlog of credits or dinars we carried in our books, including dinars to all contracts that were issued by previous governments that were running in our country. So simply put, in summary, in your question, we knew it was going to be hard, but we took office. Despite COVID-19, we tried to offer a steady, stable hand in the last 2 years or so we've been in office. It's never also easy with a lot of politics at the background. Yep. With politics, there's a lot of instability at the public service. There's the undercurrents that run. You never know he's going to be prime minister or not, so don't listen to him. So there's an instability also at the public service level. But despite this, by the grace of God, we were able to stabilize our ship in as far as PNGO is concerned. Try absolute best to use a budget to keep our economy afloat, and we're starting to make the right change now.